Hey folks, my name's Kamel, and I love music. I especially love music from the independent record label Fake 4 Inc., run by Chesky Ramos and his brother David. Fake 4 Inc. has been grinding music out since 2008. I was only 15 back then when they started. I only started getting into them in 2014, 15, somewhere around there. And I have a lot of catch up to do because I love everything this label turns out. And I just want to go ahead and give you my take on one of their albums that was just released for their Free-Sember promotional series. Free-Sember is where they release, one album every week in December for free. It's a pay what you want, basically free download for each album. Last week I reviewed Soul True and Progeny. It was a beautiful R&B, psychedelic, hip-hop album, just amazing album. I'm still listening to it, still digging it. And this week I want to review a new album for you by MC Homeless, who this is his first album released on Fake 4, but he has collaborated with Chesky back in 2007 on his album Trapped Under an Ohio Sky. So I'd like to give you my take on this album. It's a very amazing album. I've been digging it, and I'll be listening to this one for a long time to come. So here's my review. So I really want to start out by saying that MC Homeless is actually a rapper from Youngstown, Ohio originally, and he was a major player in the punk and hip-hop scene. He played and booked shows for everyone from Chesky Ramos of Fake 4 Records to AC Alone, who started Project Blowed. He played shows with Riddlore from Project Blowed, CVE, stands for Chillin' Villain Empire, legendary group from LA. Also played shows with Idea, man, rest in peace. One of the greatest rappers of all time, greatest freestylers of all time. So this guy, MC Homeless, he was a connector of many different people. Idea was from the Midwest, AC Alone and Riddlore, they were from LA, and Chesky Ramos and Dead by Wednesday, his band, they were from New Haven, Connecticut. So this guy, MC Homeless, was connected with all these people, and also the DIY Bandits, the whole DIY punk folk scene, that Pat the Bunny is now a legend from. He was a major player in that scene as well. So very, very important figure for underground DIY music in general. And so I think this album, his first album in 6 years, after a 6-year hiatus, is actually a very important stepping stone. And I think it's going to be very influential as we see time progress. And I would really like to review this album for you because it's just a superb album. I could tell that he put a lot of work into it, and he's gone through a lot in order for this to come out. And besides his documentary film about punk rock that he's worked on and gotten critical acclaim for around the world, besides his Rust Belt Hammer podcast, which is super dope and you should check out. That's how I found his music. For the last 6 years, he hasn't really been putting any music out. He's been on a hiatus. So now that he's based in Texas, he's no longer trapped under an Ohio sky like his first album was titled. That album's a great album, by the way, too. So if you like this one, I'll definitely say go and check that album, Trapped Under an Ohio Sky, out. Definitely worth checking out. Amazing album. His new release is called Sex&Death. Now, Sex&Death sees him returning with a new style, a new sound. It's very abrasive. It quakes, it shakes, it reverberates from the very bowels and pits of hell. It's just like, sounds like his agonizing screams and cries in this album are welded to the metallic, psychedelic, industrial production. So it's a very interesting new style that he has, and the production is actually all handled by Moody Black, which is a production rap duo, also Fake 4 family. Now, it's only a 4-track album, so it's very short listen. I'd say under 18 minutes. That's if you buy the vinyl. Side A is sex, side B is death, but both sides deal with both themes, and obviously those are the prevalent themes within the album. There is also digitally a bonus exclusive track, and that exclusive digital bonus track features guest vocalist AWOL1, which is the only guest vocalist featured on the album, and in my opinion is the best pick that MC Homeless could have chose. So it's a great album. I would say go ahead, download it pay what you want. It's on Bandcamp, and you can also cop the vinyl too if you like it that much. So definitely worth copying the vinyl, definitely worth the free download. I mean, come on. So check it out, please. Now, with this album, you see both themes, sex and death, obviously really prevalent, like I said before. And it's honestly, it's a hard album for me to review because every word from MC Homeless and every bone-rattling sound from Movie Black just like is perfectly placed for a full sense of thematic cohesion. All the themes fit. So obviously, like I said, the work covers everything pretty much on the negative end of the spectrum of human emotions regarding sex and regarding death. So it's not really as much the positive effects of sex and death. It's more the negative consequences of sex and death, and it's very interesting. So it's a very concise, tightly bound concept album, basically on the human experience of hell on earth, which MC refers to Earth as like an unforgiving rock or the biggest prison. And there's really no ambiguity regarding the major themes in this album because the songs and the album and the title and the cover art just perfectly encapsulate what's packaged within. So, however, there's still deeper underlying concepts that become more fleshed out after multiple listens, after some introspection. There's definitely other themes that arise, other ideas and concepts that arise besides just sex and death, but sex and death seems to be the most prevalent because, sex is life, death is death. These are the two things that drive where we are right now, so obviously it's very, very wide-ranging concepts that can arise from those two themes. Now, on this record, MC Homeless, he seems to have embraced a new, distorted, demonic style and now indulges in the hedonism and just outright escapism of hollow sexual desires, insanity, and self-mutilation. As he tries to escape this world, this giant prison, this unforgiving rock, this cruel existence. He's practically frothing at the mouth now on this record like a rabid dog. Or better yet, like a cannibal, really, who shreds the beat as he jumps into it like cannonball, as he says on one of his rhymes, which is one of my favorite rhymes on the album. He says, I guess it's so mechanical. Maybe I'm an animal, or better yet, a cannibal. I'm jumping in like cannonball. So I thought that line was just fun and creative and added a little bit of, just made me smile on an album that's so dark and desolate and abrasive, The first track now on side A is aptly titled Depression Swag, which the title just made me smile. So it's a clear indication that MC Homeless is actually at home with the demons that haunt him. And he owns his negative emotions in a very delusional but proud manner. So it's very interesting because it plays with the duality of being suicidal, but also sees him coming to terms with the fact that life is basically a hopeless struggle. And if you're not depressed at one time or another, you're probably not living in reality. You're probably lost in a dream. So that's what I love about Depression Swag. I've never really heard a lyricist tackle depression from this unique angle, the reality of it, and it's really an original concept, and you can tell that in this song that MC Homeless is really conveying what happens when a person is really transformed by this cruel world into a despondent demon with a dismal outlook on a desolate reality. So in Depression Swag, he also talks about other things, though. He's not just talking about owning his depression. He talks about coming off his meds. He talks about embracing his loneliness and thinking about his ex and dwelling on the past in general. He talks about ignoring his phone, ignoring his friends, that text him and call him, and social media and all that. And so it's really interesting because he also talks about how he ignores the voice in the corner of his mind saying that it'll all be fine. And, it's very unique take on, a very unique lyric, really. I really like the way he worded that. So throughout the album, he's painting these broad brush strokes, various motifs of pain and loss. And not just loss of lovers, loss of friends through addiction, loss of self through insanity, loss of faith in the world. So he tries to numb this loss and this pain with the mechanical motions of the pelvic thrust. You know, everyone loves to fuck. Excuse my language, but it's very true. That's why we're all here. So he says that that's his way of escapism. That's his way of escaping this pain and losses through this you know, sex, basically. So he's hoping for some salvation through that from this personal hell of his, and that's his way of numbing himself and finding salvation, really. So because he's lost all hope. What I like about MC Homeless, though, in his style, he's not trying to be the fastest rapper with, you know, this tongue twister rhymes that really, you know, don't really mean anything after you go back and listen to them multiple times and you finally catch what they're saying. You know, instead he opts for strong lyrics that are clever, they're coherent, and he rides the beats hellishly slow crawl perfectly. I mean, these beats are awesome. I love the way Moody Black makes these beats. I just don't hear anyone else making beats like this. It's like a tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and feel them, you know, crawling through them. So it's very, very interesting. I really like that whole concept, and the way he flows over it. And though the major themes aren't so subtle, there's a lot of subtle concepts, like I said before, that arise from MC Homeless's gothic poetry. Such as like the ever so faint sense of hope. You know, he does have a very faint sense of hope of just ending it all, ending his life in some orgiastic suicide, you know, in some bloodletting, sexually driven suicide. And I love this line that encapsulates the album. It's, "I am not a martyr, I'm just looking for some hope. Fuck the pain away, you'll find me hanging from a rope." I mean, come on, what a fucking awesome line. It's one of my favorite lyrics because it's a perfect microcosm of the album as a whole, and I think it represents one's loss of purpose or drive due to a corrupted innocence, and also shows how escapism via sexual gratification or suicide is how many people do try to cope in this world with their loss of purpose and loss of drive. And, you know, when those four black corners of a nightmarish reality start closing in on one's sanity, I think a lot of people feel like they're just looking for a way out, and it's either through sex or it's through death. And I mean, other people, you know, abuse drugs, and you know, that's another common theme on here too. So escapism in general is actually a under the radar theme that pervades the whole album. I think other subtle themes that pervade the album, though, are insanity and indecision. Indecision, especially in this lyric. "I can't decide whether I should slit my wrists or lick a clitoris." You know, so he doesn't know if he should numb himself through sex or if he should just end it all and not feel anything anymore. Time seems to slow down with the next track, because I just talked about basically the two first tracks were Depression Swag and Sex and Death, the title track. But on the next track, it's called Black Milk. It's an amazing track. It took me a couple times to really absorb it, but after I absorbed it, it just got caught in my head over and over again. I keep playing it in my head. And it has the MC crawling forward into this desolate abyss of masochistic pleasure, egged on by this goddess lover of death who he would sacrifice himself for 1,000 times. And the strain of his crawl now, it can be felt. It can be felt through his delivery, you know, his delivery, his distorted delivery. You feel MC Homeless crawling through the thick muck of Moody Black's sound. And it's over this slow tick-tock of a drum beat that I described before. It's like, so it's like really, really slow. And he's like crawling forward, trying to escape this doghouse that he's been chained to, it seems like. His goddess lover has chained him to and left him there to die. And all he just wants to do is please her. And it's a surprisingly catchy song, like I said before. It's got this like sing-along chorus, kind of Manson-esque, Marilyn Manson-esque kind of chorus that conveys the horror of having a burning passion for a lover who is cold and unresponsive, which would be the death goddess. Kali came to mind when I was listening to that song, the goddess Kali who kills Shiva and fucks him while he's dead. So throughout this album, his style fits perfectly with the jarring sonic textures provided by Moody Black. The production instantly overtakes the listener with these crunchy, noisy beats. I mean, Moody Black is really, they're they push forward the whole noise rap kind of concept and idea with these industrial sounds, and they like boil. I mean, the sound, the production boils out of the top of the speakers, and it'll stay burnt into the listener's mind, you know, permanently, kind of like a scalding third-degree burn. It's a very cold sound, like sometimes, like as if metal shards were grinding in a machine that generates this sonic bliss through torture. It's really a ride. It's really a ride that'll have you unconsciously nodding. Like, it'll have you unconsciously nodding like a zombie whose head is, you know, hanging from a piece of skin, dangling back and forth. So it's one of those albums. It's great. It's the title track though is awesome. The title track, I love the beat on it. It's my favorite beat on the whole album. It contains this blistering beat that's like orchestral almost in terms of its composition, and it's got these blaring, metallically distorted, high-pitched electric string-like synths that bring to mind like a tea kettle boiling over until all the water's gone. Really interesting. I've never heard a beat like that with this kind of high resonating, like, even though all of them are really stunning. Now, Beauty and Barbarism is the last actual track on the vinyl, and it has MC Homeless at his most lyrical, really, in my opinion, switching between his regular flow, like his regular flow crawl, I like to call it, or his wicked like double time flow, as he encompasses the dualities on Beauty and Barbarism. So he encompasses right and left. He mentions sex and death, dream and reality, comedy and tragedy, youth and adulthood, loss of innocence, you know, and of course, you know, Beauty and Barbarism. It's a perfectly balanced track in my opinion. Neatly ties up all the themes to the album and explains why, most importantly, why one falls into such a depressive, suicidal slump, and how a toxic world can corrupt innocence and ultimately lead to a toxic worldview. So this leads us into the bonus track, you know. After Beauty and Barbarism, you get the bonus track, which is just a remix of the title track, Sex and Death. The only difference with the bonus track is that it has a verse from AWOL1, the OG punk MC from LA, who, in my opinion, is a perfect match for MC Homeless, and I think they need to do more stuff together. Now, they both utilize strong introspective lyrics, so it makes their chemistry just, you know, simmer in the pan in the right way to create a tasty combination, in my opinion. Now, I'd love to see more from them too in the future too. I think they have a chemistry that could really make a whole album together, and I'd really like to see MC Homeless take a break from his hiatus and maybe do an album with AWOL1. That'd be dope, man. So if you're listening to this, please go ahead and do that. This is an album that I think everyone needs to hear if you've ever been depressed, if you've ever been feeling negative thoughts of, you know, anxiety, suicide, insanity, anything like that. I mean, humans go through this stuff, and I think all MC Homeless was trying to do was give people a piece of work that could make them realize that, you know, we all go through these rock bottom slumps and feel like life isn't worth living sometimes. We've all been there, and there is a reason to come out of it, you know. Just, you know, play this album. You'll know what rock bottom is, and play it at your rock bottom, and you'll see someone else who has been there before, and you'll see that he is an amazing person who is completely inspiring other people to do what they do in their art form as well, and push people forward through life, you know, so that we don't have to just dwell on the death. That's where the sex comes in. It's love, it's beauty, it's barbarism, it's abrasive, it's universal. That's what I love about this album. So that's my review. Thank you for sticking with me for 18 minutes again. I'll try to make it shorter next time, but I appreciate it. Thank you all you listeners, and thank you MC Homeless, and thank you Chesky Damos for releasing all this amazing music under Fake 4 Inc. Till next time.